Welcome to the Fresh and Fired Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Marshall, here to help you function at your best in health, fitness, and life. Joined by the wild, wonderful Hailee Pindle, who I already have laughing because we have had quite the morning. Let's get fired up.
That was so funny. You guys.
I know. We are laughing because this is actually take 2 of our intro, mainly because my mic was not connected properly. So here we are, full line of connection, on time. Not really.
Well, and before that, we were talking about how you're elderly and you couldn't find your computer. She minimized my face in the corner and couldn't find it again. And
Guys,
now we're restarting because your mic was hooked up to your phone.
I legitly am struggling with the technology this morning. Yes, I am proving your point. And I just want to say I'm not that old. Okay, Hailee, I know I'm older than you.
People think we're sisters. Just super funny.
Oh, thank you. Well, I could be your older sister. Technically, like the age range would work, I think.
I think so.
Here's the deal. Hailee was just basically making fun of me because I'm an on-time person and she's an early person. And if you know those early people in your life, they're like hard judge. If you're not 20 minutes early, they're like hard judging you just for being on time.
Late. Yeah, you're late. So, and same, when I went to get my wedding dress fitted, my mom's the exact same way. I'm convinced that I learned this from my mom growing up because she was like, okay, let's go, get in the car, get your butt in the car. It's 40 minutes before hockey practice, but we're going. And then we arrived probably 40 minutes early and we were like, okay, well, I guess let's go walk down in Kits. Let's go for a 40-minute walk. And then we walked back and the girl was there at literally 11:01. So it's I'm still gonna arrive early though.
I know. Well, I think it's one of those things, right, where it allows you to not. I think this is what I've noticed about people who really love being early is I think it's like they are avoiding feeling the anxiety that comes with feeling like they're running late.
Yeah,
because
agree.
You get that people who like to be early, it causes serious anxiety if they're running late. They do not like it. Whereas if you run like high chaos, like myself, who used to be super late for everything, and now I'm on time, so I feel like I'm winning, honestly. Or even if I'm like 2 minutes late, I still feel like I'm winning because I'm like, dude, I used to be like 20 minutes late. I've grown so much. Always room for growth. So I'm like, I keep trying to push it back to like 5 minutes early when I'm traveling with my husband, who is also an early person like you. You know, I do actually arrive 20 to 30 to 40 minutes early. And I'm like, what is this? We have so much time. There's so many other, because I think my mind is like, okay, now we're like here in the parking lot. The event hasn't started. And I could have like transferred my load of laundry and finished putting the dishes in the dishwasher and probably snuck in some stretches. I don't know, like everything.
Okay, that's logical though. Sometimes that goes through my mind, but then also I'm like, okay, I've arrived. And so now I will not be late and I can relax. So it's definitely that anxiety thing of avoiding being late because it's just brutal. I don't know why why am I scared of that? Do you know?
Well, it's more calm. Like, I definitely feel like you're coming in a more calm state. And I think that anyone who has had any struggle with social anxiety in the past, which I think you've expressed that you have, I think you're trying to mitigate any sort of triggers that will provoke that that social anxiety feeling. So when you're showing up to an event or you're meeting another person, you're kind of, I think you're not really wanting to be judged by them and also feel like you've disturbed the event, or I don't know, like you care. I think it's a good sign that you care and you have a high level of respect for other people's time. But then I think there might be a little bit of a control aspect there, right? Where you're like, this is something that is within my control. Whereas if you're my personality and you just don't give a crap, you're like, it's fine, I'm strolling in whenever I feel like it. It doesn't work if you need to get to a job interview. Then you need to be early. Right?
Are you saying I'm controlling?
Possibly. Does that resonate with you?
A little bit.
Right. See, for me, I'm like, I don't even care. Like, things are outside of my control. I'm like, cool, yeah, whatever. But there's pros and cons to that too, because then you can, there's times when you think, you create almost more chaos than you need, even though you're not as fazed by it. It still, I think, can be stressful for other people. So part of the reason I've put a lot of effort into trying to be more early or like trying to is more the awareness of other people to be like, yeah, this might not stress me out and cause me anxiety, but if it's causing my husband anxiety or my children or like you, then I'm like, I should get better at it just for that purpose because it's respectful of you and then making you feel less anxious too, right? So I think it's always that balance between your own, we want to talk about boundaries today, setting your own boundaries that work for you and your style, but then also realizing when you're trying to work in collaboration with others, with your family members, and obviously if it's a workplace, like I'm not showing up to late work to sorry, I'm not showing up to work late. Does that make
Whew.
sense? But I
Yeah.
think for me, it's like when you know there's a super hard line and you're like, this is, I could get fired or I'm not going to get this job if I'm not early. I guess that external motivation kicks into high gear even more
Yeah, when the
versus when you're
stakes
like,
are
oh,
higher.
I'm just going to the gym. I'm getting to the gym within a window, of time. And if I'm not meeting someone there, I'm like, it's kind of just me. Now, that being said, that can get like to a slippery slope too, because if you're too lackadaisical, then and you have no boundary, then all of a sudden that time gets pushed back and back and back and it messes with the rest of your morning, right? So
Absolutely. And then that's an important thing to note, like having that external motivator or that external person to keep you accountable, or that event or work. Like
yes.
so many times we make excuses for the gym or something that we're doing personally, but you don't arrive late at work, even if you're feeling kind of down bad with some illness, like you still show up to work because there's that
Yes.
external and it's higher stakes and there's more on the line essentially. So holding higher boundaries with yourself, especially if something is important to you. I think it's really easy to just kind of brush over, oh, I'm going to go to the gym at this said time. And then you continuously break your promises. And
Mhm.
that's where lack of confidence can come in. So I think holding boundaries with yourself as well when you have really big goals or
Mhm.
something is important to you is really important, regardless of like the motivation. Like that's
Yeah.
where we want to focus on discipline because it's going to feel a little bit icky and uncomfortable. You're not always going to want to do it, but have that boundary with yourself and have it set so you're holding yourself accountable essentially.
Mhm. You know what's interesting is just as you were saying that, I know growth point for me is definitely the prioritization. So, like when I know, okay, I have to be at the clinic at this set time, I will do a better job at deprioritizing all the little tasks. So I'm like, "Oh, dude, I do not have time to load the dishwasher. So I'm just going to have to leave the dishes and I will do them when I pop in at lunch." Versus if I'm giving myself more of like a lackadaisical range of when I'm starting something, I'll be like, "Oh no, I can finish the dishes now." Because my brain is thinking ahead. Like it's not a laziness factor, like it's not like I'm sitting around, but I'm trying to like squeak too many things in, right? Where it's like, could this load of laundry have been transferred at lunch or after work? But I'm like, no, I should just do it now because then I can get another one on. Like, it's like I'm always trying to get ahead of the game. But in trying to get ahead of the game, I'm like trying to pack too much into the amount of time that I have. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, now I'm running late because I thought I had extra time. So I added like 5 more things. So that's just kind of, yeah, that's habits, right? Where you're like,
Yeah.
there you could say there's always something to do, but and I've talked, yeah, John and I were talking about this and I was like, yeah, sometimes I wonder how other people do it, like to make that occur. But then we were talking about people have different standards and thresholds, right? So for me, I'm a little bit more of a minimalist. I like a clean space. I like to walk into my kitchen and be like, the counters are cleared. I'm not like, I know some people can be like super hyper particular. Like I can leave a space with it messy, but I would prefer to have everything put away before I leave so that I can come back and it be like a clean slate. But learning to let go of, oh, you have to be somewhere at a certain time. So, dude, you're going to just have to leave this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus like in the evenings, I'll want to like clean up and have everything kind of set for the next morning. And then I find that psychologically really nice for waking up and I go right to the gym. I don't think about, oh, I should stop and do this or I should stop and do that. It's already done. I did it the night before. So it's almost kind of this like staying ahead of the game mentality with
Yeah.
your tasks, but then that can sometimes affect your timing, right?
Yeah. Also, it can sometimes affect like burning out because I
Mm,
definitely relate to that of like adding more tasks and cramming as much things in as humanly possible. And then you end up with a really a long task list for the day, and then you may not
yes.
get to it all, and then kind of provokes some anxiety and like, oh crap, I didn't get to it all. I'm a failure for the day. So like setting like know your limits, stay within it, essentially.
Mhm, yeah.
So what I've been doing is like having those. You've probably have heard this before, but have three main things that you need to get done, and if those three things are done, then it's a successful day, and everything else is just a cherry on top. But have those three things be bigger needle movers. So again,
Yes.
like if your goal is to get in shape or like get fit and or heal your hormones, whatever,
Yeah.
have your three main priorities be what is going to drive you forward further, and then add the little sprinkles on top throughout the day, and that can
Yeah,
kind of
and
mitigate
learning
some
what you're oh,
anxiety.
go ahead, sorry. I started to
Yeah.
cut in, my bad.
Oh, it's normal. Go
I know.
ahead.
Fine, my turn. No,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, when you said the 3 priorities, it's like, I think that's a big learning curve of figuring out what is going to actually move the dial in where you're like, with the progress you wanna make. So if, like you said, if the biggest struggle you're having right now is the nutritional component of, not eating enough in your day, if that's kind of the struggle you've been having, or if you're overeating or whatever, if it's trying to get your eating habits in order, then that has to be on your list of, like, whether it's tracking it or the things mentally that are going to keep you moving towards a goal that's helping your body feel energetic, or sorry, energized, and what was I going to say? Not depleted. Like when you're talking about burnout, right? Like making sure you're getting enough food in your day. So it's like that will need to be on there, right? But for someone who's like, oh, I'm feeling really good. I've kind of already been through the process. My nutrition is dialed in, and I feel like I have kind of earned that right to intuitive eating, like we've talked about. Maybe that's not on your priority list because it's already like an ingrained habit. You just keep doing it, but you shift something onto those top three, or some people do top five, right? Whatever you can kind of handle. Sometimes you might be in a phase where it's just one thing. You might
Yeah.
just literally need to be like, I just need to get this one thing down pat. Like you said, it's like setting out your stuff the night before and just getting to your morning workout. Maybe it's just that one thing right now, right?
Yeah.
But then once that becomes like a rote, habitual behavior, now you can insert another area of growth
Yeah.
on that list, and then stick to that, right?
Exactly. And we're great examples of this too, obviously, because we've been
Obviously.
doing this whole fitness stuff for a very long time. So it's kind of ingrained. And now we're more so switching maybe like career wise. And so your to do list reflects more so what goals you're trying to accomplish right now. So for myself, it's more so like business wise. And now I'm learning my own boundaries and my own um, limits within that, because this is a new part. This is a new learning curve for myself. And so if someone's first starting out in their fitness journey or health journey, like that's going to be the bulk of their like priorities. And another principle that I like to follow too, especially when you're starting something new, and you lack the boundaries around like discipline with it, is something called eat the frog. So do the thing that you don't like to do, like you will avoid at all costs all throughout the day. And by the end of the day, you don't do it, you end up not doing it. Eat the frog first, because like what happens to myself, and I see so many of my other clients too, is like I do all the things that I like to do.
Yep.
And that's easy. And then by the end of the day, I still haven't done the thing that I really don't like doing. So if you do the thing that you really don't like to do in the morning or first thing on your priority list, then all the other things that you like to do will inherently just get done because you enjoy doing them. So eat the frog.
Yes, that is so good. And I'm going to just add in a thought that I had while you were saying that, is be okay that frog that you need to eat is going to change. Like, I think we want to tell ourselves like, okay, this is this big thing and I need to tackle it, and then I need to own this one area. But inevitably you own one area and then another area pops up. And I think if you don't acknowledge that reality, you can get tired and feel like, yeah, but I mastered this. Yeah, you mastered that, but there's always going to be something else come up, and it might not be directly related to you. It could be coming from someone else. And so this is where we can talk about there's boundaries for ourselves, but then there's boundaries with other people as well. And that can be a tricky game, right? Where you're like, how do you honor the things you know you need to be able to function well without destroying your relationships? Because there's going to be these relationships in your life that have other needs. So if we just use the example of like a boss, right? Like your boss, let's say they are pushing boundaries of like, they want you to come even earlier, they want you to stay later, they want you to now come in on the weekends. I don't know, whatever the scenario, right? And it's like, well, what did you agree upon in the beginning? What conversations have you had about whether this is changing? As has it been like mutually agreed upon by both sides? This is how you're setting the boundaries, right? Without just feeling like it keeps sneaking, like the line keeps moving further and further, and you're just kind of saying yes and yes and yes. But then you're resenting the fact that you're now at this point where you've been totally consumed by something that you feel like someone else has kind of pushed on you, versus, you there is a point where it's like, no, you need to be there at a certain time that you've previously agreed upon. You need to honor the commitment that you have made to your employer, as the example goes. So yeah, that can be hard, right? Because people will want to push you, and
Yeah.
you need to decide whether this is an area you want to be pushed in or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And people, like, you give an inch, some people take a mile, and it's trickier because of the other person. You don't know how receptive they're going to be of that boundary that you set. So like in your example, my mind was just thinking like, yes, there is a time to go over and beyond. However, there's also time to realize if that over and beyond has become too much and you're now not fairly getting compensated for that time, because a lot of bosses will just take and take and take. And until you like ask for more, because like that this is kind of getting out of hand. And of course, there's going to be a period of time where you have to prove yourself and
Yep.
earn that and like earn an increase in wage or whatever. But there's also a time where it's like, when are you going to ask for that? When are you going to realize like maybe it's time to like, ask for what you're worth?
Yeah. And it can go the opposite way too,
Yeah.
right? If you are the employer and you are like one of those people who wants to try to do it all yourself, and you're trying to employ other people, but then you don't want to hand it over any jobs. You haven't set boundaries for yourself as an employer. So you're just running yourself ragged into the ground, and you feel bad that, oh, but I couldn't give them something else to do because what if it's too much for them? Or what if they don't do it right? Or blah, blah, blah. Then it's kind of the same thing working in
Yeah.
reverse, right? Where you have to be like, no, they can handle this task, and I'm paying them, and they're here, and here's the expectation, and here's the list, and they should be able to get through the list. And I think it's always two sides of the coin, and it kind of really depends on what position you are in, and looking at like what would be reasonable expectations. And I think it's the same in personal relationships, right? With friendships or your spouse, where you're like, okay, what is reasonable? If you are currently a stay-at-home mom, that is a beautiful thing. And I love that. We've talked about this. But you are probably then going to have more of the household responsibilities on your plate. If you are a husband and wife who are both working full time, you need to split the household activity. It just makes sense. You're both out of the house during the day or whatever it is, or you're working shifts. That makes sense, right? So I think where the boundary doesn't get set is like, well, you can't be a full time working mom and expect that you take care of all the household responsibilities and all the kid calendar and everything. You need to have those uncomfortable conversations and set the boundaries like, hey, I'm totally fine with keeping doing this. We're both at work these times of the day. What else can your partner do at home to make it actually long-term fun for everyone? like there needs
Yeah.
to be some life enjoyment.
Exactly, exactly. And I think the people who struggle most with setting boundaries are like the people pleasers, complacency, and they just don't want to have any conflict or they want to avoid it. And I definitely resonate with that a lot. And just like what happens in the longevity of any relationship is you just become resentful. So, like, the
Mhm.
boundaries are not necessarily just for you, it's also for your relationship as well, because, like, you're only going to be able to push things off that bother you for so long. And it's actually not very respectful to your partner if you also just kind of internalize things and then later down the line you kind of blow up or say like, oh my gosh, this is way too much, when they didn't really realize that it was too much because you never voiced it. So I
Yeah.
think having like the people who are really easily complacent with just like having more and more tasks to do, more so struggle with the setting boundary. But again, it's like not just for you, it's for your family, it's for your
Yeah.
longevity of your relationship.
Yeah. Kids do better with boundaries.
Yeah.
Like everyone does. It actually creates more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Structure, routine, boundary. Now, obviously, things are going to go off track sometimes. And then that's where you get to work on your adaptability and your resilience on the opposite end of the spectrum. But at least having that structure in place is such a game changer. And it's what you've said so many times, Hailee, is leaning into that discomfort of ripping the band-aid off, having the conversations, coming up with something that's going to work for your whole family. And then in the employer, even with like an employee and an employer, you can still have those conversations similar, but obviously in if you are the one who's the employee, you're going to want to approach your employer at the appropriate time that makes sense and like schedule it and make it an official thing that you bring up, not just like passive aggressive one-off comments. Those don't work. It needs to be like, when can we sit down and talk about this and come up with a game plan?
Absolutely. You don't want to make it like a power struggle of like who can play the game better. I've
Yep.
definitely seen that um, roll out way more consistently than I should.
Yeah, and it becomes
And
very manipulative, right?
it is. And it's just, it's not a great work environment. And then also, it like I always ask this question of like, are we all on separate teams? Are we trying to accomplish the same goal? Because if we're on separate teams, then you guys keep going and like
Oh,
ruin
yeah.
it. Or like you can kind of work together and see how everyone is going to work to their optimal extent and not take everything so personally. I think when people take things personally, that's when it can get a little sticky and icky.
Yep.
But yeah, like everyone's on the same team here.
That's just it, on the same team. It makes such a big difference when you have that at the forefront of your mind. You're not in competition with your spouse, you're not in
Hmm.
competition with your partner or your children, you're not in competition with your colleagues. Like it makes so much sense, but I think we often want to go back to that place out of ego, right? There's some pride there. It's like humbling yourself enough to be a good team player, which is the same thing when you think of a sports team and you have the all-star. You can't win the championship with one all-star player. You need to draw in like the strengths of the whole team. Those are the teams that win, right? And so
Exactly.
I feel like for long term, that's going to prevent burnout, like you said, and it's going to create a better quality of life, not just for you, but the
Absolutely.
people around you.
Absolutely. And I think just coming to terms with the fact like we're good, we have gifts, we're good at things that we're good at, and we're also not good at things that we're not good at. And that's why you hire a plumber to
Right.
fix your sink.
Yeah, and it's okay for you to do that. It's okay to get help. Like I feel, oh man, and I don't even know, maybe what are your thoughts on this, okay? I have experienced interactions with women where it's like they just gave birth and they're carrying or they had a C-section and they're carrying the car seat around and they're carrying everything. And they're like, well, I don't have a choice. I've got other kids. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm carrying, can I please carry your baby up this flight of stairs for you? And they're like, no, no, it's fine. It's fine. And they almost like just are unable to receive help. And you're like, dude, you're gonna destroy your body and you're like, you need this recovery time, yet you're saying you have no choice, that you have no help. But I am standing right in front of you, offering to help you in this moment, and you will not accept it. And I can't force you. I can't pull the car seat out of your hand, like that would be disrespectful. But at the same time, I'm like, you need help sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you
Yeah.
do with that?
Well, I think it comes from like us or women not wanting to feel weak or incapable.
Hmm.
And we equate help or someone like offering help or asking for help as like us being weak or not being able to handle it. or
Hmm.
not being able to do it ourselves. And I think too, like postpartum is such a transformative thing that there's a lot of like, there's hormones going around. Your mental health is probably not in the greatest state either. And
Right.
so we can, um, I guess, isolate and just be hyper independent within that time. I see that quite a lot. Like one of the people on my team just had a baby like I think 6 months ago on my birthday, actually. I'm
Oh,
so
that's
excited.
cool.
Yeah, I'm her godmother. No, I'm not. I've personally appointed myself that. Um, but she was getting really upset because um, like not sleeping. Like the baby was very dependent and of course, right? So she was like, oh, I don't have my regular routine in and I'm getting really frustrated with myself because it's not the same as it was. And
Right.
so it's such a change that I think mentally it's so much more difficult to grasp and wrap your head around, where it's like we're hitting our KPIs. Like we're good. Like everything is fine. Like you're getting what you need to done. And if you like really like, oh, I really haven't gotten any sleep, like ask for help, like lean on someone else.
Yeah.
But then also like I think it's also hard. Maybe more so for like a stay-at-home mom or someone on maternity leave because the husband is like going out and like going to work and she might be struggling really heavily mentally. And then also I think the not sleeping is a really big thing.
I think it's
um
hugely undermined. Yes, I
yeah,
agree.
I think because it's a form of torture. Like, if you're not sleeping, like mentally, you're going to be really burnt out and drained. And so, even on the day to day, even if you are like off work, it can be hard because you're not
Yeah.
sleeping at all. So, it's okay as well to ask for help. But I think there's a lot of guilt because, like, you're at home and you're supposed to be taking care of the baby, but you're having a hard time doing so because you're so drained.
Right.
So I think it's a lot to do with that. You're a mom, so you can let me know if that's kind of tracking.
Oh yeah, the sleep is huge and how it affects your mental health.
Yeah.
It can really be a long and you and sometimes it's just I know I went through years of kind of in denial about it.
Mhm.
Like, I got this, I can do this. But hey, this is so cool. I just learned this. So there's an entire order of nuns that did I tell you about this?
No, I just love the spark in your face when you just
Yes. So
switched.
there's an entire order of nuns that have dedicated their lives and time to praying for new moms. So they wake up multiple times a night to pray for all the new moms and new babies in the middle of the night.
That's very interesting.
So it's cool because I'm like, so I just learned this. I was like, so just know this. If you're listening, if you're a new mom, there's always a nun praying for you in the middle of the night when you're up with your baby. And I
Yeah.
just think that's cool.
I think so too. I think it's really important too to have that faith because when you're so down bad, it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's so important to know like the hard is not hard forever, like there's going to be an end point. However, you can make that hard easier if you just kind of like go and ask your husband for help, go ask your someone for help, your friends, your mother, your father, whatever, your little circle because I'm sure people would be absolutely amazed to help you.
Yes.
So it's sometimes I think it's more so like stepping down of like my pride, and allowing people to come and help and take some load off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that way too, knowing that like you're not alone in it and that you're
Yeah.
loved. And most of the time when people are offering to help you, it's not because they don't think let me rephrase this. It's not because they think you're doing a bad job or that you can't do it. It's because they care about you. And sometimes even I find this for husbands, it's like sometimes they might not word it like how you want or the tone might come across weird to you, especially if you're in a poor mental state because you haven't slept and you're whatever, you're burnt out, right? It's like that key you said, not taking it personally and just being like, listen, this person loves me. They can see that I need help. So how about just let them help me?
Yeah.
And it
I
also
love that.
blesses that person because it allows them to feel that sense of purpose and that sense of connection. And we
Yeah,
need to allow other people that.
absolutely. I wonder too, um, is there there must be an element of like if someone were to take care of my baby, they would not do it well, or they might like potential hurting my baby or something like that.
This can be a big thing for moms with the dad, like with their dad, right? Like
Yeah.
moms and dads with the babies, where it's like biologically, that maternal instinct is so strong, right? And
Yeah.
especially in the early days, you need to be so connected with your baby, having the skin to skin time, having them on you, with you. Like all of those things are really good. But also know that it's very important for the baby's dad to form that connection as well. So, what can happen is mothers can get to this point where they're mothering the baby and they're kind of like mothering their husbands as well. Like, they're like, no, 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 that's not how you do it. Like, da, 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 right? They get almost like this hyper controlling mode. And you're like, no, you need to let them have that connection formed, let them try things, do it their own way. Like, they love they love their child too, right? And so I think moms can do this thing too, where they're saying they're not getting any help, and maybe that is the case sometimes, but there are cases too where it's like you're saying you're not getting help, but part of it is that you're not receiving help, and you're not allowing even your husband to kind of try to do something his way. And that can work too. It doesn't have to be the way that you think of it in your head always. And it comes back to letting go of some of that control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it might be too better for as the kid grows older, and you can, because your kids are amazing. I will rant and rave about your kids so much all the
Yeah.
time. They are amazing. I tell Justin all the time, like I'm taking classes from Emily when we have children because they're so amazing. But an element of independence for the child as well, to
Yes.
like be letting go and like, okay, you can go out and fall, and when obviously it's appropriate.
Oh yeah. Don't be a
Yeah,
helicopter parent. I'll say it
yeah,
straight. It's not.
exactly.
Let's raise our kids like they were in like the 80s
Yeah, absolutely.
or
Huzzah.
before. Right? Well, it's one of those things like you need to empower people. This is something that I originally learned actually before being a parent, and through working with the doc that I worked through with in Toronto, and she was very big on empowering your staff and allowing them to flourish. Like, yes, we have systems, yes, we have checklists, and things need to be done by a certain time. But if you have your own sense of flair within it, that's okay and it's good. And sometimes someone will do something in a different order than you when you allow them to, and you will realize, oh, wow, that actually makes way more sense.
Yep.
And it's more efficient, or whatever the case is. But if you had not let them and their brain contemplate through this problem and solve this problem, then you have this realization that they just solved the problem better than you did.
Absolutely. My assistant coach is doing that right now. She's continuously like making things a lot better. Of like, I wouldn't, one, like, I wouldn't really have time to. And then
Yeah,
two, her brain looks or works completely differently. And she's very like analytical, and it's amazing. And like client experience is going so much better.
that's awesome.
But she's kind of on her own. She's in her own space. She's in her own brain. She's applying things that she learned in her own life experience that is now like just complementing everything
Yep.
else. So it's so, so important to just let people be themselves and have the space and safety as well to be creative, and not be afraid to voice their opinion. I think workplaces should be a lot more like collaborative than they are like hierarchies.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Well,
anyways.
and when you set your boundary at
Yeah.
work or at home, even coming back to kids, it's like when you set that boundary of like, listen, I'm not, nah, what I feel like I've used the analogy of loading the dishwasher way too much on this episode. So
It's
sorry.
a continuous thing that you do on a daily basis,
I
so I get
guess.
it.
Is there another
At
one?
least you have a dishwasher, okay?
Okay, let's just talk about the kids packing their lunches. Let's say packing your lunches for school, right? If I never allow them to do that because I have to do it and I have to do it a certain way, it doesn't give them the opportunity to grow and learn and flourish, right? Like,
Yep.
because it's more than just them picking out their own food. It is also all the steps of how much time is this going to take? I need to just pull my hair into a ponytail and not do like double Dutch braids this morning because I only have so much time, because I know I still need to go out to the kitchen and make my lunch. And so it's partly that time management, like coming back right to the start of the episode, the prioritization, and also the ownership, right? Like taking ownership for it.
Yep.
And the ownership being like, if I know making my own lunch and filling my water bottle and putting in my bag is supposed to be my responsibility, if I am running out of time, now I'm learning how to ask for help. So it's not, I'm not just going to notice. Well, I will notice because I'm like, okay, guys, but I'm not necessarily always prompting them. I'm saying, okay, you are responsible if you know you are running out of time to come to me and be like, Mom, I need you to help finish my hair, please. And Dad, do you mind filling my water bottle? That starts to ingrain in them that they can ask for help. So then as you become an adult, yes, they know that they can do all the steps on their own, but they can also realize that if their morning or their day isn't going as they planned, they already have learned to ask people for help from a younger age.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did that. Well, my mom did that with us. I'll send this off on a very funny story. She
Please
used to
do. I
like
love it.
lay our clothes out up until like, oh gosh, I think like kindergarten or whatever. When we
Right.
started to go to school, she's like, okay, you can figure it out. And I was a very like neon person. I love
Oh,
neon. I still love it, but I'm older now. So you should have seen some of my outfits. One time I went to school with knee-high Christmas. It wasn't Christmas time. It was summer, but it wasn't quite hot enough to wear shorts. So I wore yellow shorts with like Christmas knee-high toe socks and like a bright green shirt. And my hair was in a bob. So you can picture me. It was, and all of my outfits were like that. And my
okay.
mom would just watch me walk out the door like, oh, geez.
She's like, she's her
She's
own.
like, you,
Okay.
whatever, you
Can we
go.
please do a neon episode for our
Yes.
YouTube channel? Okay. Stay tuned in the future. You should subscribe to our YouTube channel because we need to plan a neon episode
Yep.
and you
The
guys are going to
neon
love it.
didn't stop until high school.
Please don't show up with a bob. Well, are you going to show up with a bob?
I've stopped that. Once my
I've
yeah,
stopped
I
that.
yeah. Oh, it was just for convenience, really.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was like my hair was in a helmet all day, pretty much, and I'm like, I just have to have it in a bob, and it was brutal, and all my pictures look crazy. And I one time cut my bangs on sideways, and my mom was like, "You should," yeah, she was like, "Oh, this is not a daughter."
You put your mom through it. Now, as payback, you
I was a
need to get
bad
your mom and
kid.
dad coffees every morning. Oh, we love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here on this very banter-filled episode. We hope you love it and share it with a friend. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And in the meantime, be free, feel fresh, and live on fire.